Good afternoon, this is Suxinity Channel on Education. One of the intrinsic tasks of teaching English is actually planning for our lessons. So we tend to plan pretty much everything. We plan our material, we plan the class dynamics, we try to imagine how the class is going to go. But very often there is much more to it than what we've actually planned for. We call that hidden curriculum, hidden content, and a lot of it has to do with humor actually. So today we are going to talk about it with Tom Rosen in Malaga and Graham Bell with him. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hello.
And I'm here with Rob Wiley in Barcelona. My name is Radmila Grukova. Let's get started. And all of you are very welcome to ask your questions and share your comments on YouTube. Okay, guys, so when teaching English, we usually tend to plan everything. So what do we plan for? What specific objectives and goals do we plan for?
I guess with the class plan, we have specific aims and objectives of each part of the lesson, I guess, which are the main thing that we need to focus on, things like target language as well. But as you mentioned, other things tend to crop up as well.
So what are these things? What are they, Graham?
There's lots of pops up in class, especially lots of cultural things in classes when I answer a question or we're relating to a topic in a certain way. These things are there's so much pops up in classes.
So when we teach English, do students only learn what we specifically state as objectives, or they learn much more? What do you think?
It's when you're having that communication method, there's going to be always things that pop up. I mean, if it's a topic on politics, there might be some moral that comes into it as well. Referring back to their culture, there's loads. There's even dark parts of sense of humor. I mean, I think, Tom, you were talking to someone about the death penalty the other day and you ended up with hysterics in the class.
Yeah.
There's so much things. You tap into someone's sense of humor and someone's belief on stuff. It can go sideways at any point in the class.
Yeah.
Okay, and what do we learn as teachers?
I think we can learn. It gives us a chance. Cultures, for example. For example, the other day I was teaching a girl and she told me all about Franco because I don't know much about Spanish politics. Basically, we were just having a conversation just about the death penalty, and we were speaking about when the death penalty was banned or abolished in Spain. And she started telling me about Franco, and it was good to learn, a different culture and different history about a different country and Spain. So obviously, you can learn and also establish a relationship with the student, which is very important.
You get an opportunity when they're talking to really assess their
level.
Their level, right? And because when they're expressing themselves and they care about you really get to see their structured forms,
Yeah. Okay.
It's great. It's a great assessment tool.
Okay, so a hidden curriculum is actually a side effect that education has on learners and also on teachers. Why not? Because this is knowledge that we don't necessarily plan for. It's not intended, but it still happens. So, Rob, can we have some examples of what are the things that students can learn without us necessarily having planned for it?
Yeah, I guess even really simple things is how to greet someone properly, how to, ask for directions, stuff like that. I have an example I had a class in a cafe with a group of 3-4 women. And very first class I arrived there and sat down, not very nice. And then they just kind of went, I want coffee, I want this, I want that, and go and get it. And I was like, okay, bit blunt, but so I did it. I went and got their coffees for them, and then we sat down and we talked about ways to order drinks and stuff like that. And so even though that wasn't part of the class plan for that day, we still looked at how if you do that in the UK, you're going to get the coffee thrown over you rather than served to you. So yeah, I think it's stuff like that. Making small talk as well, right? I think we all kind of make small talk at the start of the class, just briefly before we start, So stuff like that, I think, tends to crop up quite a lot, which maybe isn't specifically in the plan.
Okay. So a lot of it again has to do with humor because we are different. We come from different cultural backgrounds. So every one of us carries their own humor, and but yet. I wonder how many syllabi and textbooks include humor in their curriculum. Not many, right, Graham?
Absolutely, hee-haw. Hee-haw. That's the Scottish term. There's zilch, zero. There's
Zero.
nothing there. It kind of comes out more in your class, right? There's certainly no curriculum that tends towards it. Not that I've noticed, anyway. There's no way of teaching them puns.
Yeah. How do we teach telling a joke, for instance, in English? Is there such a... have you ever done it?
I think for people to understand, they have to understand a lot of the etymology of words and where they come from. Like one of the things when we're teaching vocabulary is to show them all of them, then they can start to work around them and have fun with them. I remember the first time I told my first pun in Spanish, I was so chuffed with myself. This guy had been, and it's because I started to understand words, you know. This guy had a Japanese girlfriend, and I asked him, you know, if she was beautiful. So I said, "Oh, ella es guapanesa." Awful transition.
That's a typical your dad joke.
Typical dad joke. But we do them all the time in English, and I do them with Spanish people, and they just look at me going, "What is he talking about?"
This crazy Scottish guy.
Yeah.
A murderer.
Yeah, it just doesn't translate, you know. I mean, even like me and Tom, we have loads of differences between our humour, and we're Scottish and English, and it's like never mind between.
You didn't know he's Scottish.
Yeah.
Gotta tell everyone.
Okay, and then, do you think your students enjoy whenever there is a fun element in class and you use humor? Yes,
yeah, I think they enjoy it. It relaxes them, especially if it can break the ice sometimes, and it can relax them, and especially as you get to know your students better. More and more, you can use humor and maybe darker the humor gets, and less.
Yeah, I think
PG. Go on.
Yeah, I agree with that, Rob. I think building a relationship with the student, because a lot of Spanish people I find lacking confidence, and probably one of the reasons why they're lacking confidence is because they don't feel that they know you as a person or as a teacher. So I agree with breaking the ice. Definitely helps the student to adapt to you as a teacher and be more confident. So little comments like you were saying before, maybe making a joke about yourself, and then it brings them out and sort of opens their personality up a little bit.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'd love to talk about mistakes I make in Spanish to students.
Yeah.
So they feel more confident about English is.
Yeah, there's a few that I make too.
Yeah, it's a good point, especially if they're nervous about making mistakes, or we get some students who don't want to maybe make a fool of themselves or feel like they're going to make a fool of themselves. So I find often telling a stupid story about me in Spanish, or just in general, kind of taking the mick out of myself, I kind of find allows them to think, okay, this guy also is a bit of a clown, so we can they're a bit more confident, to tell a funny story about themselves, or not make a mistake, or just make a mistake. Sorry.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with making mistakes.
All right. When it comes to exploring this area of that has to do with humor, what can students do? What can they do? What do you recommend them to? Watch some shows, or what is it that you tell them?
I guess shows, maybe TV shows, comedies.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for example, there's a very good I enjoy, I believe Rob knows it as well, called The In-Betweeners. And basically it's about these 4 teenagers that are trying to lose their virginity. And it's just such good banter within the series, and it's typical jokes. And whenever I try and make a joke with Graham of like something related with the series, he's completely oblivious. He has no idea what I'm talking about. So even in English and Scottish, if you didn't know he's Scottish, we have these different senses of humour. So yeah, it's an international thing.
Yeah, it comes across loads. It's even like because they can pick up on like words that we use to describe things that we day. Like last night, I was at an intercambio with Tom, and I said to the guy, "Oh, we were out last night, and it was nuts." And the guy was like, "Nuts?" No, I used that, and I was like, and then we started looking at all the different words that we use and why comedy doesn't work. Like, because you use huevos in Spanish to refer to things, whereas we use balls and nuts.
Yeah.
So jokes don't work across from language to language, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've been having a chat with someone and said that, and they find, what's he talking about? That's fruta secos. I don't understand this guy.
Great. So, how can we integrate humor in class? What are some tips that you can give us?
I guess sharing maybe a funny situation that you've experienced, maybe something like Graham mentioned before, maybe something that you've maybe done in Spanish, or something you've tried maybe to translate that hasn't worked well. Always kind of you can integrate that, and then look at, especially with something like idioms. I had an example with some students once said to me "bad milk," and I was like, "Bad milk," because there's some Spanish expression which is like "mala leche," I think. No, and so I didn't get it, and they were just like "bad milk." Bad milk, and I just stared at them. I was like, "What are you guys talking about?" And then we had a good laugh for a good 10 minutes about this expression. So that was one that came up.
In any case, we were talking before that British humor has to do with irony and sarcasm. So, do you use it? And whenever you use it, do students understand? Do you have to explain or translate every time you use it, or you find similarities? I know that we're talking about, Rob is here in Catalonia, you guys are in Andalusia, which is quite different. What are the differences?
Yeah, well, I speaking to students, we mentioned before coming on to chat to you guys as well, like about the Catalans tell me there's a big difference in the sense of humor between the people here and the people in the rest of Spain. So I know I haven't lived anywhere else in Spain, so I can't compare, but I find they tend to get a lot of the jokes, and they like sort of the English humor. Sarcasm, not so much. They don't get sarcasm very much. But then I don't know if anyone gets the British sarcasm apart from us.
Do we have to teach it? What do you think? At a certain level, especially, is it useful for the students?
Just imagine sarcasm.
Imagine.
Yeah.
I think it's something it just happens, right?
Yeah. It's like just laugh then. Laugh.
Yeah, you make jokes for them and that.
Yeah.
I mean, they love Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
I didn't realise Mr. Bean was so famous.
Mm.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
They love him. Yeah, they love physical.
Yeah.
Physical humour.
Yeah, but I kind of like physical humor. I like school, the two Ronnies. They seem to like that kind of comedy. Yeah. They use facial expression. I mean, they're pretty. Spanish people are quite physical. They use their hands to speak like Italian. So they seem to like that humour. But they don't get sarcasm at all.
Yeah, it's a shame because sarcasm to me is like the best, like the funniest sense of humour. Yeah. I have to put up with him every day.
So I mean, classes can be like this. I kind of when you get a good relationship with your students, you start to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, of course. Relationships are the most important.
I mean, you were laughing at his death penalty.
Yeah, it's like imagine when you were at school and you used to learn from the teachers that you had a good relationship with. You didn't used to learn from Mr. Boring, who would be like, "No, this is this." If you learn from you learn from the teachers that ultimately you have a relationship with, and you look forward to the class as well. You don't go English class, maths class.
That's right.
Because you know that you've got a relationship with that teacher. So ultimately.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually, Tom, because I remember some of my favourite teachers, and the ones I remember the most were always the one that we could have a good laugh and joke in class, but we would still... And
it were your best class.
Yeah. And actually I ended up loving the class as well. Like, it was good fun, and so I don't know whether maybe we all try to kind of, because we're like that, we try to, we've taken that style and maybe apply it into our classes as well, we think about the good teachers, and for me they always tended to be the ones we could have a laugh and joke but work at the same time.
Yeah. Are there any negative sides of using too much humor? Can you think of... Yes, there are. Okay.
Oh, I've crashed and burned in a few classes.
Yeah.
Literally the one passed behind me, I've had a few.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens, right? You give an example. Give an example of a student. I remember starting off with 3 guys and making a joke at the start, and all 3 of them had a dry face.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to be a long.
Yeah, I've had that as well. Cracked a joke and they've just been like, right.
Yeah.
Okay, then moving on. Quick questions, off we go.
Yeah, it's like you tell a really good joke and then like they don't understand it, and then you have to explain the joke, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, it's funny now."
Yeah,
It's not the same.
I've had a couple with like
It's
with a TEFL teacher as well. So like a TEFL's been in there and we've cracked a joke, either one of us, and we've just cried with laughter, and the students are like, "What are you two idiots laughing at?" so then we kind of go in, but then it, start to explain it, but it kind of loses all humour then if you have to start explaining. Jokes, but,
goes out the window.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Even jokes with students, even I've had jokes that I've not. They're laughing, and I'm like, what happened?
Yeah. I've had another good one was I had a class with 2 students, and there was this really like cute little old 70-year-old guy, and then another student, and he was trying to pronounce the word fork. We were doing fork, spoon, knife, so you can imagine the words that he was coming out trying to pronounce fork, and me and this girl like.
I can't.
You can't, I'm not going to say it on YouTube, but I'll tell you after. But yeah, so me and this girl were just crying with laughter, and he had no idea what he was saying, and it was just brilliant.
But maybe in this case you have to insist very much on the pronunciation.
Oh, no, we went over it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times even, but we were drilling that pronunciation, but he was struggling with it.
Classes where I like the whole professionalism with teachers, some pronunciation, you're sitting there kind of going, okay, I'm trying not to laugh.
Yeah,
just because they're swearing by mistake, by not pronouncing the I.
Yeah.
Sheet of paper.
Sheet and beach.
Beach.
Yeah, what you do the weekend? Went to the beach. But something else comes out. That's always a good one.
Right. So, Rob, do we have any comments?
You guys are sending some really, really funny stories. I was reading them earlier on. There's some really good ones.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Another one similar to what Tom was talking about, maybe having a laugh about the death penalty. So Miroslava Mirka said that she once had an hour class, and all the activities seemed to be related to like murder, killing, jail, and even the topics were on a similar kind of vibe. So at the end of the class, a good way to do it, she said to the student, "Well done, you killed it today." And then that was quite smooth.
Your dad. Typical your dad.
Yeah, another good one. Another one for Mirka as well, actually, that she had a class practicing the S at the start of a word. So she asked what the nationality was, and she got Catalan back rather than the Spanish that she was hoping for. So they had a good laugh about that one, although something like that can be a bit of a touchy subject. What else do we have? We got lots of them. So Billy teaching the phrase "bear with me" to cover up maybe some technical problems is a good way to kind of keep off topic of maybe if the student's got a difficult connection. Paul has said, I think expressing our own experience is helpful, but can get in the way of class. How much do you allow to talk about your own experiences when you're talking about a topic, which I think is a good thing.
That's a very good question.
It's a good question. I think you have to do it. I think it's good a little bit, and I tend to do it as well. Again, if I have a TEFL student, I think it's good for students to listen to 2 English speakers speak together, even if it's just for 30 seconds, a minute. So maybe the students aren't speaking, but I find it good for them just to get used to hearing to 2 English speakers have a good chat with each other. So often I'll be like, I don't know, if we're having the small talk at the start, I'll say to the TEFL students, so how about your weekend? What did you do in it? I think it's just good or we have a discussion about the topic. I think that's a good way.
Very, very good way of learning to listen to 2 people talking at their normal speed.
Yeah.
Sometimes students complain though if they have 2 teachers, but I think this is what we have to.
Yeah, I do point out sometimes, and especially sometimes. So I've had an American TEFL student with me as well, and I say, okay, so you've got 2 teachers today, and it's good for you because you've got one American and one British, and you'll hear the difference. And then we actually had an S1 class together, this one, so very, very basic. So he's just starting learning English, and he could pick up on the difference in our accents already. So it shows that you don't have to have a really, really high level of a language to start hearing the differences between the two types of
accent. Is one of the hidden content that students are acquiring through having different teachers. I don't know where Graham is from, but he
I think Scotland knows.
Where are you from?
He has a very
Where are you
different
from?
accent. So. Tom, where is
Wait.
Bill from?
No,
Ireland?
Mate, I'm from North England,
it's
mate.
from Wales, I think.
Wales.
No,
Wales.
I'm your neck of woods, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of things with accents, man.
I think probably for me it's one of the most like beautiful things about a language is because like just with speaking with someone for like 5 minutes you can just understand where they're from, and I think it's quite interesting how different people have different accents from based on where they're from, and I think that's quite a cool thing. And it's also like an icebreaker as well. If you
And
don't
accents can be funny as well. So yeah,
like your accent.
yeah, my accent.
Yeah. Some students sometimes take the mick out of my accent because they know like I pronounce words like bus or something like that, and they start laughing at me.
Yeah.
It's bus, not bus, and I'm like, listen.
look
So
at
so you know when you've got that rapport from students, and you know each other quite
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
I do find
Yeah,
myself
it's
sometimes taking the mick out of them, but they'll take the mick out of me, and it's all part of it, you know. I think it just helps make everyone feel comfortable, which a lot of people have said in the comments. It's all about kind of people have used their humour to make students feel relaxed is a word that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Breaking the ice, you know, comfortable, all these types of words everyone mentioned about humour.
Yeah. We actually, when asking teachers about that, 60% think that they have a good sense of humor. 40% think that surprised me, that they sometimes have good sense of humor, but all of them coincide that it's very helpful to have a good sense of humor in class. What about your...
No, I was just going to say another comment from Billy. So about an experience. The question was, have you experienced a humorous or awkward situation due to cultural differences? And so Billy has said this week that he was doing an activity on what countries, nations are famous for. And let's just say that the students did not hold back on their opinions. Had to tell them to keep it down, and was in the class in a busy cafe. So he had to tell them to keep their opinions a little bit quiet. I find, sometimes students say some stuff and it's like, oh, maybe you can say that here, but don't go to the UK and start saying stuff like that because, I don't know, there's certain words.
I had a class about lazy people from Andalusia were, and I don't think he realised that. So, and I was like, you know, I live in Malaga, right? His face just changed.
He just presumed you were in Scotland.
Why would you be in Scotland for?
Where am I from?
But why would you be
Just another comment about what we were talking about before, you know, about things coming up in class. A good example was, so our colleague and friend Paul, he just came in now wearing a poppy. And so he's been going to classes wearing a poppy, and so I think that's been a good tool for him to talk about, you know, the cultural things and the traditions maybe that we have. And so something just wearing that symbol, I think, has probably been good crack for him this week. And, you know, it opens up a whole thing that you can start talking about, and it's quite interesting. And
cool.
I've been looking for one, so I haven't found one. So he's told me where I can get one.
Yeah, I need to buy one too. So when you find one, Rob, tell me.
I'll send one down to Malaga for you.
Yeah, just throw it down for me.
I love it when students take the lead with humour. I laugh, and I had a really good rapport with this girl I was teaching, and we were doing a job interview, and I started asking her what sort of skills. We were doing a role play, and she started pretending she was an assassin. She started telling me about all these skills she had. So I just went with it and went the whole thing. I didn't realise that a TEFL student was watching me at the time and didn't have a clue what was going on. But I loved it. I love going with the humour of a student. If they take the class sideways, I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I think you can, when you meet a student for the first time, you can quite quickly work out whether you are going to be able to have a good laugh with them or whether it's a little bit more serious. And I find the majority of students are very open to do it, because let's not forget, a lot of them are doing it during their lunch break or after work, and so, you know, they want to have a bit of a laugh at the same time. And
of course.
Yeah, exactly. They want to look forward to it.
Exactly, that's it. And another thing that we haven't really mentioned is false friends as well. I tend to have a laugh with false friends. So I've had some funny ones with constipated and constipado and stuff like that, which are the classic ones, or embarrassed and whatever. So it's all good fun.
Excellent. Okay, so what do we do if we don't consider ourselves so funny? Can we still use humor in class? What do you think?
Well, you can answer that because you're not.
I know, you can be quite dry. I really like dry sense of humour. Some people are pretty dry.
Yeah.
I find it pretty funny. I know, you don't have to be funny in class. I mean, you don't have to be.
No.
I'm not funny.
Where you from?
No, I guess, yeah, just like, I mean, but everyone's got a funny story, haven't they? Like, everyone's, like, so, I guess maybe some,
Even if you're not funny.
yeah, even if you're not funny, yeah. But I guess some people maybe are a bit, you know, if they don't want to take the mick out themselves and have a joke at their own expense, maybe some people don't do that. But, no, I guess, like, well, there's funny situations.
Always.
Yeah.
You can always find
It's like you were saying, like the funniest people are the people that are funny. That's the best. That's the best funny for me.
Yeah.
Like the character and the personality of someone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think telling stories, even telling stories to friends, I've got a saying. Everyone's got an idiot in their group, and if you don't know who that idiot is, we all have stories we can
Yeah. We've all got banter.
Yeah.
Right,
What about you, Radmila? Have you had any? Whether you've been a student, I've just put you on the spot here. Sorry, but
I don't consider myself especially funny, but definitely I enjoy humor, and I want to understand your humor better as well.
Do you find that you understand? Because obviously being here in the office, you're surrounded by British.
But today, for instance, I learned a new expression from you. Taking the mic.
Taking the mic.
Taking the mic.
That's the nice way to say it. Yeah, I'll tell
That's
you.
a nice way,
I said the other way before. But,
so yeah, I definitely enjoy. I think that we all are more relaxed whenever we have a good sense of good humor in class in general. I think it's beneficial. Maybe not all the time. It's not necessary. As Tom was saying, you don't have to be funny all the time. Sometimes you were saying that, or was it? I don't know. Was it Graham? In any case, whether or not you're funny, there is always room for humor in class, and it is beneficial for the teachers. It is beneficial for the relationship, the student-teacher relationship. So let's go for it, and let's include it a little bit more in our classes. And thank you guys. It was really, really nice talk. Funny talk, good laughs, and I hope to see you next week on Friday at 12 sharp as usual. Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.
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 We're done.
That was great.
Bad.
Did need to get the giggles at one point there. Found myself biting my lip, looking down.
I can't see anyone. I want to see.
No, we can't see.
I know. Is there no way we can do it where we can
see us?
see each other? Because I just have good laughs, like laughing at you two, and I feel a bit bad that you can't see us.
Okay, so what was the problem with the sound this time? What was it?
No, bueno, fue